In the sprawling landscape of Sacramento lies a neighborhood with roots as deep as the valley oaks that once dotted its horizons. Del Paso, originally known as Rancho Del Paso, was more than just another part of Sacramento. It was the heart of California's import-export economy.
We had the railroad, we had the base. We were the import-export of California. Route 40 brought everything in and out. So it was thriving, self-sufficient, all good.
Rancho Del Paso was once a name synonymous with prestige, known for its racehorses and agricultural prowess. The vast ranch land supplied not only crops, but champions. Under the ownership of James Ben Ali Hagan, the ranch bred and trained numerous champions, including Ben Ali, who clinched victory in the 12th Kentucky Derby in 1886.
This 44,000 acre piece of land over here was like a Mexican land grant, and then Ben Ali Hagan, he bought it in 1880. It was all like ranch land.
While Rancho Del Paso's legacy remains a source of pride, the neighborhood's fortunes began to shift in 1964 when a contentious vote brought Del Paso under Sacramento's jurisdiction.
Probably like 1 to 5 votes that changed from being independent to merging, which to me is what caused the rift, because half the community wanted to stay its own entity, the other half didn't. And now you've created dysfunction within a household. And when there's dysfunction, it snowballs.
What followed was decades of disinvestment that left many residents feeling forgotten by the larger city.
And there are people in this neighborhood still that remember that and feel a bit of resentment toward it, because they felt like after that they were kind of always the second part of the city, and they didn't get the same resources as the main part of the city.
Today, Del Paso faces the complex challenge of revitalization without displacement. The neighborhood's struggles are real, but often overshadowed by sensationalized narratives.
This area gets a lot of if you look at news coverage on what they report here, they report all the bad.
Tonight, business owners along Del Paso Boulevard in Sacramento are saying enough.
They never really report the art that's going on, the businesses that are thriving, the outreach, the programs that are coming into the area.
When I moved into the neighborhood nearly a decade ago, I saw this quaint little community that had all these architectural gems and had all this history. And then it's right next to this retail boulevard that's just been forgotten. And I just thought with a little bit of effort and a little bit of vision, a few changes can make the difference in turning the neighborhood around and making it the gem what it should be for North Sacramento.
Perhaps nowhere was the neighborhood's neglect more visible than in its network of historic alleyways, remnants of a horse and buggy era that had fallen into disrepair.
I have an alley since I grew up here, and there's always been like terrible things that happen in the alleys, drug use, like prostitution, dumping. And so some communities have gotten together and put requests into the city, and you have to get like 100% of the signatures on both sides to lock the alleys.
All of these alleys had some form of restriction on them. They all had gates in the middle that would prevent people from going from one end to the other. I'm a transportation planner, so I understand that you're trying to quell some of that negative activity, but at the same time, you're cutting off access for pedestrians and bicyclists by putting up these gates.
In 2022, an unexpected opportunity arose. The city secured a $4.8 million state grant to transform 5 residential alleyways in the Dixieanne neighborhood.
The state gave us $4.8 million with no local match to do this project, with the caveat that we needed to finish in a year and a half. We did get a 6-month extension.
Reclaiming the alleyways required more than funding. It demanded trust and collaboration. For decades, the community had seen promises fall short. Building that trust meant knocking on doors organizing cleanups, and listening to every concern.
But when we reached out to people, it was amazing how little callbacks we got. And I think a lot of it was probably people just thinking it was some kind of scam, like, wait a minute, the city is going to give me a free fence. Like, yes, we're serious.
And you say, hey, I'm with the city, we want to make it better. They go, oh yeah, I've heard that song and dance before. Then, you know, physically too, because of the neighborhood and the way it's designed, a lot of people have fences in their front yards or dogs to protect their property. So that's another barrier, a physical barrier from, you know, approaching people and talking to them. Because I literally went door to door to every house in this neighborhood to tell them this project is coming and we want you to know about it. And we want you to have your feedback about it.
There was a lot of talk about doing murals, things like that. I love murals, I love the creativity, but for my project, I wanted something that was more enduring. So that's when, you know, I really kept hoping that there was something that we could do that was, you know, as permanent can be in a public works project. And actually doing something in the pavement was just my dream. We had a lot of discussions about what kind of art it should be, because with the grant it just said you're going to do art, but we hadn't settled on exactly what kind of art. And obviously I had a concept in my mind, I did a lot of research, and Paverart was the only company that I could find that did the kind of things that, you know, I just had envisioned in my mind.
Translating artistic visions into permanent installations required a unique expertise, one that came from an unexpected partner 3,000 miles away.
So what is Paverart? Paverart, the name kind of is self-explanatory. We're taking the medium of concrete pavers. We have 20 different colored concrete pavers, and effectively what we're making is concrete jigsaw puzzles. We're taking yellows and blues and greens. We're cutting up all the different shapes, and then we're putting them together almost like a mosaic to create what we call Paverart. So Sparky Harris's main concern when he called us about the public alleyways was durability. How do we put something in the ground that brings the artist's vision to life, that stands the test of time, that's not going to wear out after a year? We actually prided ourselves on our first project ever, which was over 22 years ago, that still stand to this day. So when we talk durability, one of the things that we don't do is speculate. We go back to our first job that we did 22 years ago, Wildwood, New Jersey. That intersection that we built 22 years ago, those multiple intersections, they're still here, they're still standing, and they look pretty darn good. You've got reds, you've got yellows, you've got blues. After 22 years,
almost anybody would say this is doing its job.
So with this project, it's not an intersection. There's not an unlimited blank canvas. These are 6-foot diameter circles. That provides a built-in constraint for both Paverart as well as the artist. So they've got this beautiful artistic design, but we've got to do it in a way that's built to last. So that requires collaboration. We had to work hand in hand with the artists to build their artistic vision in a way that we know is going to stand the test of time.
The project went beyond infrastructure. 10 local artists were commissioned to design the permanent installations that would be embedded in permeable pavement, turning forgotten alleyways into community pathways. Each design tells its own story of the neighborhood's past, present, and future.
We put together a 5-member panel that put out a call for artists. All of the artists that were interested submitted their concepts, and that group, I wanted to be arm's length from the decision. So that group came up with the artists that you see out there today.
I thought the integration of art through the paver concept and the bollard concept was a great idea. It was a way to engage community, engage local artists to be a part of the process.
The designs range from historical tributes to forward-looking visions of community renewal, each reflecting a different aspect of Del Paso's identity and aspirations.
It's a beautification project, but it also combats problematic things that do happen in this neighborhood. If it looks a certain way, then people are like, oh, I can do whatever I want. But when you maintain something and you put art in it, and it changes people's perspective, when you go, we're gonna rebuild your fence, and we're gonna do this, and those people are so happy.
So it was a no-brainer for me to do this design. So the design is basically a jockey riding a horse. and it says Old North Sac is back.
With the concept of like trying to draw people into using the alley space and using the space for like fun and get like kids involved and like make it a more community oriented space, I wanted to design something that was really fun and that they could look at it and kind of invent their own story.
The title of my art piece was The Heart of North Sacramento. When you say North Sac, you think about Del Paso area and Dixieanne. So I used the heart, I used green just to incorporate life. When you think of life, when you think of trees, plants, anything, it's all green. And what pours out of your heart are the issues of life.
My main mission is to uplift, inspire, and encourage positive change. So a lot of my art is very uplifting, very community-based. I love doing stuff that works with my community, things that are going to like implement change in ways where people are able to advance in life.
I think the overall goal of this project was beautification. And so I think with this project, it kind of put a positive light back into the area.
It's my opinion / experience that heavy art in the community is a sign of gentrification. That means that it's happening. The dollars, that's how it starts, right?
Each piece, now permanently embedded in the pavement, serves as both artwork and waymarker, transforming utilitarian spaces into points of neighborhood pride. For most of the artists, the project represented more than just beautification. It was a chance to leave a lasting mark on their community.
When I first seen my draft printed, and I was just standing there and I was like, this is gonna be brick. This is real. Like, this is gonna be here longer than I'm gonna be alive. Like, it's gonna be in the ground. So it is an amazing feeling, and it's just such a blessing to know that I have something that I'm leaving here that can make my future grandchildren feel connected to me even when I'm no longer here on Earth.
Among the art installations, one piece stands out, a portrait of a woman known simply as Mama Marks. Her story exemplifies the kind of community bonds that once defined Del Paso and that many hope to restore.
I was talking to my friend Larry about it. I was like, I'm not sure what to do. And he suggested Mama Marks. Like, really quickly, he's like, why don't you do Mama Marks? You know, I said, who's Mama Marks? And he said she was this woman who would feed all of us kids. Apparently she fed anybody who needed it. And She started a whole program called Arms of March. I guess she started it in 1972.
She was one of us. She wasn't from up here or over there, or she was a neighborhood mom and grandma and auntie and whatever else, because everyone either called her Auntie Mama or Mama, and she was just everyone's mom, everyone's grandmother. She was a beautiful soul.
She was a community activist, and also she would give out, she was in charge of giving out butter and free butter and cheese and dairy. And in the summertime, in the mid to early 80s, me and my two brothers, we would walk every day in the summertime to get free lunch from her.
But it just proved that you didn't have to be young to be doing for your people, your community. The people
She was
that
an
you
older
live with.
lady.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah.
Though Mama Mark's story isn't widely documented in official histories, her impact lives on in the memories of those she helped, and now in the art that bears her image.
It means a lot to me to be able to do a portrait of somebody that did so much for their community, and I hope it helps keep her memory alive in people's
I hope
minds.
it unifies the youngsters to continue to up our community, to make our community relevant, that we count. We're not just out here working every day and going home and that's it. We count as community members.
Absolutely.
And this is where we belong.
Translating artistic vision into reality required more than just design skills. It required hands willing to do the physical work of transformation. Enter Sierra Service Project, a nonprofit organization with a unique approach to community development.
As I was working with Graffiti for Good, who I had contracted to help with the artwork, I noticed they're a service project because they were right next door. Called up their executive director and had a conversation, mainly because we needed help doing the fence repairs. And that's one of the services that they provide on a regular basis. And I mean, I can't go out there and do it myself. So it just made sense to hire this nonprofit that was right there in the neighborhood that had the expertise. Their mission is really admirable, and their people are wonderful.
Our mission is building faith and strengthening communities through service to others. And our purpose is all about equipping young people to make homes safer, help people age in place longer, invest in community resilience. So giving people the tools to live in a safe, healthy community.
One of the reasons why we focus on these community projects is we want to create that pathway of ownership of the neighborhood, stewardship of your community, and especially like leadership amongst youth, because who's going to maintain this space far into the future? It's a lot harder to do things that are seedy or unwelcome in a space where people are now looking out for. Sure.
We knew someone who worked at the city, and they put us in touch with Sparky, and it was so simple. It was like, hey, we have this opportunity. We're applying for this Caltrans grant. Do you want to be a part of it? And I was like, yes, absolutely. We've never partnered with the city in this way before, but we have been excited to say yes a couple times. So both the fencing installation, rebuilding, and then also installing the pavers was a really big opportunity that, it's not something we've done before, but our team learned how to do it and was really excited to be a part of connecting community members with actually installing these beautiful art pieces that were, designed locally. It was a really cool role for us to play, and I'm really proud of the end product and community building that was a part of the installation.
As the alleyways transformed, residents began to see immediate changes that went far beyond aesthetics.
A few weeks into almost finishing the project, someone actually stopped and said, oh my God, those are pavers. Those are actual pavers in the alleys. And he looked and he said, why would they put such expensive pavers in a neighborhood like this? His response is exactly the reason why we need pavers in neighborhoods like this, because there's this expectation of lowered expectations.
The project represents more than just infrastructure improvement. It's a signal that this community matters.
Like, this area matters. It matters enough that we hired somebody to make something that sits here. Whether it's a mural or a sculpture or whatever it is. Also, public art is a way to say art is for everybody.
When you go into a historically disadvantaged community, they have a laundry list of needs. And paved alleys is probably not near the top of that, but I told them, with that said, this funding is available. I don't want to miss the opportunity to give this neighborhood something. It may not be the main course, but I don't want to lose that. So I think they appreciated that. I think they totally appreciate how good it looks. The way I understand things, public investment spurs private investment. We put in a little bit, and then there's a little bit more pride and ownership in the neighborhood.
We often talk about Wood Lake, we often talk about El Paso Heights, but Dixieanne, Old North Sacramento is a neighborhood that we really need to look at and how we can improve. And as a city, we talk more about mobility, transit, walkability, activating our alleyways is something that's really important. Great job on the project, and I hope we can do more projects like this, Sparky. Let's use this motto and replicate it as the city receives more funding.
Sparky Harris, it was his vision that I think that really pushed this, and it got people to see the neighborhood a little bit differently. And now you have all of these other investors coming in, and you have all these other organizations coming in, because the neighborhood really is becoming the new hot spot in Sacramento.
The neighborhood was amazing to work with. The community was amazing to work with. Our council member support was wonderful. Staff report was incredible. So I really can't complain.
What's remarkable about the Del Paso project isn't just the technical achievement of embedding these designs into permeable pavement. It's seeing how improving necessary infrastructure can also carry meaning and memory. These alleys were once barriers dividing the neighborhood. Now they're pathways connecting it. Years from now, these alleys will still be here, telling the story of a community that refused to be forgotten.
Dixieanne! All right. Great job, everybody.